All right, so good evening, everyone, and it's a pleasure to have each and every of you for this research training. And I want to put it up to you guys that by the end of our teaching today, we should be able to understand what a quantitative research means, qualitative mixed method, and also in line with our paradigms. So I'm going to use loads of examples that we can actually relate to, some of the things we can actually relate to in real life to make explanations. And I think those are going to be very, very pertinent in my illustration. Now, research paradigm, we're going to be working with an outline. And first of all, I'm going to talk about what we call the hierarchy of evidence in research writing or research, and then the paradigms, the various paradigms. Then we will talk about some of the major research paradigms because we have several paradigms. Then we'll talk about some of the relationship between research paradigms and methodologies. Remember that I told you guys that one of the first things we're going to be learning is going to be methodologies. And it's a very simple outline that I've already developed for us that can actually land off straight to our destination. Then I'll talk about some of the relationships. I also talk about some of the examples of some research questions and their paradigms. So for you to be a researcher, it means that you're going to get familiar with some questions. We're going to get familiar with loads of questions. And when you look at some of those questions, you can be able to relate whether are they qualitative mixed methods or whether they are, just trying to relate the questions to the paradigms. Now, somebody might be asking a question, what is this guy talking about? What is a paradigm, right? Or what do you mean by paradigm? Let me keep the slide here. Now, when I talk about paradigm, somebody might be asking, what is it? What does paradigm really mean? Now, it's just see paradigm as per where you are, how you reason. How do you make arguments with your friends? That is your paradigm. When we talk about research paradigm, we're talking about how you make arguments with your friends, how you try to build your argument, How do you really make an assumption to say that this thing is true or this thing is false? That is what research paradigm is all about. This is just a layman's understanding of it. So what am I trying to say now is that I'm sure we can still see my screen. We're still following up what I'm saying. Okay, so that is just what it is, right? Let's say, for example, you're somebody that believes that you're the one, somebody that believes in superstitions from the village. So there are several times your parents or the only way you want to believe that somebody can actually fail in life is that you believe that somebody did something to somebody in the village. That is how your thoughts resonate from. You resonate your thoughts from theories and beliefs, old beliefs. Then that means you have your own paradigm of thought. Whereas there is somebody else that is somewhere that is saying that how the person believes in something is based on observing what the person sees. Let's say 55% of people that climbed this staircase this morning fell down. So it means that your paradigm is built on objective reality, meaning that it's built on statistics. 50% of people that are dating don't have successful dating after 5 years of dating. That is, you're building your own knowledge from statistics, observation. I'm going to tell you what that paradigm means. And I'm also going to tell you what the paradigm of somebody that is coming from a root of theories and beliefs, what it means. Now, there are also other paradigms of people that believe in ecclesiastical things, things that actually happens ecclesiastically. They have their own thought. There are also paradigms of feminist paradigm. There are loads of paradigms. It shows somebody might be asking, why is this guy talking about this? How does this thing relate to it? Me writing a literature review for somebody. You will get to know, because I did promise you guys that I'm going to root you guys from the basics. Because if you're writing a dissertation now, let's say you got a job now from somebody in the UK, you're writing a project for the person of dissertation. There's always an area where they talk about writing your paradigm. Now, let's say I now finish teaching you everything about qualitative, but I didn't talk about paradigm. When you get there, you become blind. You'll be asking, which one be this one? Because most undergraduates are not taught about research paradigms. So that is that. Now, let's drag our thoughts towards a systematic review and relate it a bit. So when we want to talk about a systematic review or any type of research, right? Because I'm looking at this now from the research standpoint now. A systematic review or any type of research is any type of research that tries to collect or analyze multiple studies on a specific topic to find overall trends and conclusion. I'm going to explain that. Don't worry, I'm going to explain that. So I like explaining things in details. Now let's see it as a baby now that has like trying to play with some kind of puzzles or just trying to play with some sort of stuff. And let's say the baby now has bags of boxes, right? So let's look at research now or a systematic literature review. As you know, you're trying to gather all the ball pen or all the balls that's inside of that bag to bring it together. When you now gather all those balls inside, or maybe pieces of balls that are actually on the floor, and you now bring them together, you can now call it a bag of balls. That's what a systematic review is. You're not going to say, okay, yes, this is, you've collected information, piece of information. In short, the reason why I'm talking about this now is because this is something that is going to be well accustomed to your literature review writing. Because from time to time, you'll be doing what? You'll be writing what? You'll be writing a literature review. And you need to actually what? You need to actually understand this information very, very clearly. Now let's go to our outline now. On the course of our writing, there's something we call the hierarchy of evidence, right? So don't worry, these terms, you will all get accustomed to them, right? In research, this is in general research, there's something we call what? Hierarchy of evidence. Now let me tell you something now. Most of you here that wants to be a research writer and want to be writing research, everything you're seeing on this ladder are some of the things you will be doing. When I started writing research, I used to write cross-sectional studies. This was where I was at this stage, right? So I'm making sure I expose you to all the information that you need. I used to do what? I used to write what? Cross-sectional studies. Cross-sectional studies is around here, right? Then sometimes I can actually publish an expert opinion or an editorial. Now see it as what? This is more of what? Your belief system. Editorials, expert opinion. This is what the doctor is saying. What the doctor says in the hierarchy of evidence. What the hierarchy of evidence means is that we tend to believe what is at the top much more than what is at the bottom. So it means that if a doctor is saying, go and take paracetamol, it is not proven. The only way we can actually believe that is based on when there is what? A case series, or I'm not saying we won't believe what the doctor is saying anyway, but the point I'm trying to say is that a case series, evidence from a case series is going to hold more relevance to this. Evidence from a case control study is going to hold more relevance to this. Cohorts, this randomized, we call it the gold standard for determining the effectiveness of any study. So it's more prioritized over this. Systematic reviews is at the top of evidence. That's why we say that for WHO to publish that post-NO2 is effective in preventing unwanted pregnancy, it means that it is not from what a doctor said, or a case control, or a cohort, or randomized control trial. It stems from what? Analyzing evidence from several studies, pulling evidence from several studies to now come up with an overall evidence to now see that what post-NO2 can be used in preventing unwanted pregnancy. All right. So now, this is now the basics now. Now, welcome to research methods. Congratulations to everybody here. Welcome. It's not easy. Now, research paradigms now, I'm here we are reading. So please, I want to hear your voices. Are you guys ready? Because this is where research starts. This is where the fathers of track are. I want to hear, I am ready. From each and every of you.
I am ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, I am ready.
Okay. Now, when we talk about research paradigms, like I don't really like so much of explanation. I like to practice, right? But at some point, you still need to make explanations, right? So we have a fundamental understanding of what we're talking about. When we talk about research paradigm, I already explained it that it is what belief systems or worldviews that guide researchers on how to understand and study reality. So it means that everything that we'll be doing, I can flip out this slide now and put up a topic and start writing on it now. But if I don't have a clear methodology, if I don't have a clear approach of what I'm trying to write, then it means that I'm going to fumble. I'm not going to be successful in what I'm writing. So that means that the idea behind research methods is that what it provides a framework for us who are researchers to try to influence how we collect, interpret data, understand how to write our research and all that. Now let me go live now. Let me go live now. Now, paradigms, I'm going to show something now. Let me just show something quickly. Just going to create a rough sheet quickly. This is our day one research paradigm and training. I'm going to flip up something. I'm going to call this now. I'm going to share this with us. The rough sheet. Now let's do this one. Research paradigms. If you're here, I'm sure you did a project. You graduated from school, and maybe even if whatever school you worked on, you at least did a project. But let's assume now we have a question of this now. For example, now, what are the influence, or let's say, what are, let me put it this way, what expenses of customers towards reception, right? So let me use something that's very familiar. Let me put that on board. Then somebody wants to answer this question. Now, see research as this, because your lecturer will never teach you this thing this way. Now, this is a question because research, the definition is, remember, research, we define research this way as what? The scientific investigation what? Knowledge. Then later we can now decide to add something like systematic um systematic or maybe we can say systematic approach towards investigating new knowledge. So means that for everything research, we want to find out what new knowledge, right? Now somebody wants to ask this question now, right? Then somebody else wants to ask another question. How many customers visit the receptionist? Now, all through my training, I will always be calling the research question is equal to the word topic. Whenever I use the word, what if I want to ask you a question, favor, what is your research question in the exercise that I've provided to you? It means that I'm asking you what is your topic. Is the same thing. I can also ask you which is equal to, I can also say it's equal to your word hypothesis. When a lecturer asks you what is your hypothesis, what do you want to contribute to research? It means it still means your topic, right? But that by the way, but I'm going to still make it easier. Now I'm assuming that there is a child there who is in pre-nursery that is attending this training that I'm having here. So I'm going to try to break it down. Now this is one question, right? This is another question. Somebody can also ask another question. What is the prevalence of malaria in Nigeria? That's another question, right? Somebody can also ask another question. These are questions. So remember, if you're discussing with your friends every day, you've got lots of questions that you're asking. Somebody can also ask another question: is that how much experience does using contraceptives provide compared to traditional methods of making love? Now, all right, so this is also another question, right? So cool, these are 4 questions. Now, what we are trying to say now is that I hope, okay, somebody just joined or something. Okay, so what we are trying to communicate now is that all these questions that you're actually seeing here, all these questions that you're seeing here, okay, all these questions that you're seeing here have different paradigms that we use in writing it. 1 minute, please. 1 minute. It's all right. Thank you very much. It's okay. Bye. Okay, yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. So now what am I trying to say is that these are various questions that are actually used in research. right? So that means, so these are various questions that we are trying to address. So it means that for us to address all these questions, we might likely need to know our paradigm. You don't just jump into a topic and start answering it or start writing a body or workout gig or whatever. You need to actually understand your paradigm. And now, I want to now make it known that paradigms is equal to what? Methodologies, right? So it means that paradigms is equal to methodology. Now, let's jump back to the slides beautifully well. I know I have people who are standing, who are currently attending this webinar. So now she's not asking me the question, right? This looks like somebody's ex. And she's now asking, what are the three major paradigms in research?
Excuse me, sorry to cut you short. Before we go far, I really need to like make a proper meaning out of this paradigm.
Okay.
Yeah, so in my own understanding, that means a paradigm is like a standard, or should I say a perspective, or a set of ideas. If I say this, I'll say a set of ideas. So is that okay? Is that a good meaning for a paradigm?
Okay. Yeah. Don't worry. Let me explain. When I'm done explaining the major paradigm, then by having an understanding of the various paradigms, you get the clear meaning of it.
All right, thank you.
I understand. Just let's just be listening to the theories. You're right. The set of that paradigms is how we shape our ideas. Not just that it's a set of ideas, it's our belief system. How do we shape our ideas? So let's just get grasp on this now, and I'll relate it to methodology, and we'll kill everything, we'll kill it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. God bless you. God bless you for that question. Now, it's sounding this way now. So we have three major paradigms, right? So we have positivism, interpretivism, and critical realism. Now, let me now put it this way. Positivism is a type of research paradigm that deals with what? More of objective reality. Interpretivism deals with subjective reality. Critical realism deals with what? A kind of mixed method approach. Now, I'm going to relate it now so we will get a more grasp of this definition. I understand that maybe at this point it's still sounding, if some of you are hearing about positivism for the first time, probably you hear about interpretism for the first time.
Sorry, Innocent. Can you please talk more of those positivism and critical really
Don't worry. I will make room for questions. Let's stop. There are room for questions. Let me run through the 10 slides, then we'll now go to get graphs. Okay. All right. So positivism, like I said, is a major aspect of research paradigm that deals with objective reality. It's related more to quantitative research. Anytime we are dealing with numbers, anytime we're trying to understand how much, how many, anything that has a numerical attribute, it means that we are shaping our ideas from what? From the positivist view. Let's say you have somebody now who is your friend, and the person is always making argument, and the person is always making judgment based on data. The person is always saying, no, it's a lie. 55% of people have done this, so that's why this is true. Remember that the whole idea of paradigm is all about understanding whether the way we shape our ideas are true. So it means that if you happen to be a positivist, it means that you are aligning your ideas around what? Quantitative methodology. I'm going to explain that further. I have loads of research questions and examples that will match, and we'll get to kill it. Now, for interpretivism is another aspect of research paradigm that relates with what? Theories. Right? So it stems around theories. So whenever somebody is an interpretivist, when you draw your ideas, remember, paradigm is all about how you shape your ideas, your belief system. When you draw your ideas as an interpretivist, it means that what? It means that you have a subjective reality. People who are theorists, people who believe in theories, they always try to use subjection. Like that. How do they feel? how did your grandmother communicate maybe an information to you? Where did you get this idea from? You didn't get it from statistical data. You're saying that this is how you believe it works. That is what interpretivism means. And I will get to relate these things to research so that we will understand the matching very properly. Now, the next one is what we call what? Critical realism. So critical realism is more like the mixed method. It's a mixture of what? It tries to address some areas of positivism and what? Interpretivism. But then we also have what we call using power and power relations. But I'm going to explain that in the next slide. We're going to get that clear. Now, I've illustrated what positivism means. So what is positivism? Let's imagine that you're trying to, this young boy here is trying to observe things that are inside a glass container. So it means that if you ask him how many balls are inside that container, he might get to tell you that they are what? That they are what? That there are 4 balls, right? Or maybe he will tell you that there are what? 5 balls. So it means that what? Him observing reality now is drawn from what? Is drawn from what? The ability that he can count how many balls that are there. It's objective, it's numerical, it's statistical. There are 5 balls there, there are 6 balls there. This is what is there, this is what is that. That is what it is. And that's it. So that is what positivism is all about. Whenever we talk about positivism, we're trying to talk about relating our ideas to what? To numerical what? To numerical data. Now think about interpretivism as what? Stories. And you only talk about it, right? Telling stories, theories. Everyone has their own story, right? About their day. Each one is different. People are trying to narrate a lot of things. Maybe you got a lot of information from your grandma, and that's what shapes your belief system. Remember that the idea behind paradigms is what shapes your what? Belief system. I can actually start this whole training or webinar by giving beautiful, beautiful topics on research. We talk about research design, we get to understand it. But no, I always try to take it from the root. And this is a topic that most people are not really familiar with. Research paradigm. Most people are not really familiar with it. And that's why it sounds this way. But I can actually see that what it all shows how simple it can be. So, like I said, when you talk about positivism, we're talking about what? Drawing beliefs here from numbers. That is how this one is going to make conclusion, strictly from numbers. Whereas in terms of interpretivism, we are drawing data from what? So we are drawing information from what? Stories, theories. That's why when you're writing, your supervisor will tell you to do what? When you're writing, submitting anything to me or any messed up work or whatever rubbish you send it to me, most times I would demand that what it is very important for you to do what? For you to put data in it. There needs to be data, there needs to be statistics in your background, there needs to be statistical data. Some other time I would say there needs to be what? Evidence of theories. That is what you using multiple areas to do what? To address your what? Your write-up. I hope that makes a lot of sense now, because when you talk about interpretivism, we're talking about what? Drawing ideas from what? Beliefs, subjections. People, somebody said this, you don't even know where it came from, right? No, I'm not trying to say that we can't draw truth from that, but all I'm trying to say is that what? What I'm trying to say is that what? Interpretivism is qualitative research. Quantitative research is what? Positivism. Mixed method is what? Critical realism. There are lots of them other than we have pragmatism, we have constructivism, but we don't really talk about all those ones. But we talk about the 3 most basic what? Research paradigms that we do what? That we have. Now the next one we're going to talk about is what? Critical what? Realism. So just 1 minute and go through this now here. All right, cool. Now imagine you and your friends are playing a game. Now some of your friends are having fun because the rules are not fair. First, use the magnifying glass to count how many times each friend gets to play, right? Now this is like using numbers to understand it. Remember that I told you people that anything positivism is what? Numerical, is objective, is statistics, is numbers. What is the percentage? What is the this? What's how many? Now let's return back to that's my rough sheet before I talk about other slides. Now what it means is that what if you're trying to write a research now around this first one now, based on what I've already said now, for you to explore people's experience is going to come with what? Why? How? Right? And this is what? Qualitative. So that means this type of research is equal to what? Interpretivism. Now, for this one now, that is what? How many customers visit the receptionist unit? This type of question now deals with what? How much? Numbers, statistics. It means that if you're explaining the methodology of this research, it is going to use a what? It's going to use a what?
Quantitative.
Positivism. Now, the next one, which is what is the prevalence of malaria? Already we know that prevalence is what? Numbers. Right? Prevalence is numbers. So that is going to be what? Positivism. Okay? Good. Now we are getting there. Now, the next part of it, which is what? Now, how much experience does using contraceptives now compared to traditional method? Now, you see that in this type of question now, you might actually be having to know about the numerical data and also exploring some part of the what, maybe non-numerical data like qualitative attributes. And that is what is going to land us into using what? Critical what? Realism. Because of what? Mixed methods. So what does that mean? It means that when we talk about qualitative studies, we're talking about any type of research that tries to answer the question why, how. It tries to answer questions of feelings, motivations, anything that has what? Anything that has that deals with experiences, trying to explore people's experience and all that. That is what qualitative research is. Whereas for quantitative research, we are trying to actually address questions around what? Numbers, statistical data, and all that. Whereas in terms of critical realism, which is mixed method research tries to address those research using what? A touch of other approaches like maybe quantity and quality. Remember, quantity is numbers. When you say a customer is interested in quantity, it's numbers. Whereas when a customer is interested in quality, that's maybe sort of experience, and that could be what qualitative research and all that. So let's return back to the slide because we're already digesting what paradigms now means. So remember, this story now ended up now to tell us that at a point now, you're trying to get your friend's experience and also counting. So this is more like a mixed method approach. So I'm dragging us back to something more deeper now. Now, for once in your life, you need to actually understand. Once you understand paradigms, it is more like the hardest thing ever you can actually try to understand the research, which a lot of your tutors are actually avoiding. And that is why I start with it. I start from the hard to the simple. Whereas other people start from the what? Simple to the hard. Whereas I start from the technical to the simple. So once we're able to drag down these paradigms, which is already very beautiful, then everything, trust me, is actually going to be absolutely very simple. In short, there's nothing else as technical as this in research. And that is why I'm actually using this beautiful approach to actually explain it. And whenever you watch these videos and all that, I'm also going to make lots of videos for you guys supportable. You will get so loads of insights on it. Now let's talk about paradigms now. Now, how do we actually address paradigm? Now, take note. You're somebody that wants to write. Something very, 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 very paramount that you must see in that client's methodology or whatever is what they'll ask you to explain the ontology and the epistemology. And for once in your life, this is the only time you need to actually understand this thing. When we talk about positivism or interpretivism or critical reality, we view it from 3 lenses. What did I say? Whenever we're talking about anything research paradigm, remember our brother here who just said, oh, research paradigm is all about trying to understand people's belief system. How do people believe things? It's viewed from 3 lenses. Every question you asked your friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your aunt, your auntie, your spouse, your parents, your whatever today, every phone call you made today in life that you actually got to ask somebody a question. I want to put it up to you that those questions were based on a paradigm. Just see it that way so that you can actually understand this thing very well. Those questions you ask somebody, is the kettle on top of the fridge? We can actually match that question to any of these 3 paradigms. And now, there are 3 ways we can actually understand those questions. We can understand it from the ontology. What is the ontology of that question? What does ontology mean? Ontology means what? How do we view reality? It means reality. That is what it means. Very funny. Now, when you ask somebody a question, is the cup on top of the table? Remember, see, I'm going so basic now to make sure we understand all these things. Because I'm going to give you guys exercises, and you must submit exercises to me. You must. Because that is an evidence of that you understood what I've said. And when you ask somebody a question, is that kettle on top of the fridge? Sorry, oh, that sounds stupid. What kind of question is that? Is that what did I say? Is there a kettle on top of the table? Now that is a question. Somebody else can actually ask, how many people came into this house today? Now, somebody else can actually ask, have you ever experienced headache before? Now let's take these 2 questions now. How many people came into this house and versus how have you experienced headache? Now, let's look at the ontology of the first question. Now, the first question now of how many people came into this house today. It means it's a question of how many. Means that the person that is asking that question is a positivist, right? Numbers. It deals with your belief is numbers. You want all you care about is what? Numbers. That means the ontology means that it is objective reality. We can see it. 5 people came to this house. Nothing like 5.5. 5 people walked into this house. And that is the ontology. It means that what is real is that I can touch those people. For that 5 people came into this house. And that is objective what? Reality. So it means that whenever we talk about ontology, ontology is what is the basis of reality, right? So it means that reality for positivism is what? Objective. What is objective? How many cup is on the table? It's 3. I can hold it. It's something I can hold. I can grasp the number of cups in that table. I can see it. I can feel it. That is what we mean by what? Objective. Objection, my Lord. I can do what? I can feel it. I can hold it. I can hold to the truth that I saw 5 people that stabbed the person. What is the ontology of interpretivism? Is what? Subjectivism. You feel headache. I can't see it. It's subjective. It's inside you. You're so subjective whenever you're making an argument. You're sentimental because you're only saying how you feel. You feel headache, only you can feel it. How many people felt headache today? I can't, reality is subjective because I can only draw my conclusions based on what people feel. That is the ontology of what? Interpretivism. Now, when we talk about critical realism, it is shaped by mixed approach, right? Social structure, reality, and other. So just understand this and don't get confused. Understand anything critical theory or realism, whatever thing will be, as a mixture of both. What did I talk about? What did I say ontology means? Ontology is defined more of how we do what, how we view the real world. That is how we explain it, you know. So that means when your spouse is a positivist, she's always talking about facts. Oh, 50% of the times you're not paying attention, you do blah blah blah, blah bullshit. Or she's relative, or she's subjective, or she's trying to draw information from her own subjective feeling. Oh, I feel like no, this is how my friend said it. You can't feel it. Friends, that's not data. Or this is how my grandmother said you should wash the baby. Or this is how your mother said the baby should be washed. And these are subjective constructed theories that are passed. So that means how she views reality is what? Interpretivism. The axes, most of the axes are what? Interpretivists. They just try to draw from what they read somewhere or what theory bullshit that you don't know about. But in terms of positive, once a man is logical, positivist, objective, 50% does this is it. Now, somebody might be asking, which one can be epistemology? Epistemology is the study of knowledge. So that person that is a that views that is the person's ontology that is from an objective reality. It means that you draw knowledge. Epistemology means knowledge. It means that all positivists draw their knowledge from what? Observation. I already said it. I'm sure you guys already grabbed the keeper like, oh, no need to even explain all this one, but I'll have to explain it. All epistemology of positivism means what? Numbers, statistical data, quantitative. I already said it before. You guys became witness. I said it's survey, experiment, statistical analysis, numbers, measurement, and all that, right? So that spouse that is an interpretivist, how the epistemology, how they draw knowledge is from what? Maybe from through people, subjectivism, right? Qualitative. That's why we do qualitative studies. We sit people down and interview them. Are you now getting the point now? When we now interview people, qualitative, because we cannot be using an interview for a quantitative study. That means we need to actually explore their experiences and actually get it done. So this is so simple. I've made it so simple that the epistemology means study of knowledge. That is what epistemology means. So no really much explanations for critical realism because wide array of times you just need to understand that you're just trying to use mixed method approach, combining approaches of epistemology and ontology. Do you now see why I said you should relax and let me explain and explore these areas so that we can now be able to actually hold grasp of what I'm talking about? You get the point now? Now let's get to examples because that is even a way to actually model the whole thing. Beautiful. So real questions. Now for positivism, I already said it. You can have a research question. What is the impact of a new medication on blood pressure levels of patients with hypertension? Impact. That means for you to ascertain impact, you need what? Numbers. This question is what? Is 6 measurable objective data on effect of medication. So it's what? Positivism. Lens measurement. How does the rate of hospital-acquired infections change with the implementation of a new sanitation protocol? Positivism. Because it's used or tries to quantify change in infection rates and all that. Now, what is the relationship between dietary, daily physical activity levels and incidence of type 2 diabetes among adults? It analyzes correlation between what? Physical activities and what? Diabetes, what? Incidence, still positivism. Now, how do patients with chronic, now we now come in to, now somebody will now say, oh, I want to see, David, I want to see qualitative aspect of it. Here we are. How do patients with chronic pain describe their experiences with healthcare? Now, remember, experience. So that means they are going to draw their belief system from, their ontology is going to be from what? Subjective reality. Their epistemology, how they will draw their knowledge, is going to be from what? It's going to be from what? Subjective approach. It's going to use qualitative methods and all that blah blah blah, that bullshit interviews. So that's going to be what? Interpretivism. Do you now see that you can now go back home now, or maybe ask your friends and all that, what is even your position on the paradigm, on the research paradigm? How do you like performing research? What type of research do you like? Personally, I'm a positivist. I like what? Positivist sense. I like facts, statistical, that I don't like hearing them say, your grandmother said this bullshit and all that. Right? Now, what is the perceived barriers to association? So this is also what? Because you're trying to seek individual perspective. So it means it's what? This is what? An interpretivist what? Paradigm. So how do caregivers of patients with Alzheimer's disease experience a cope with their caregiving responsibility? So this is what still like something I just illustrated there. I wouldn't really have to waste my time. It's still what? Interpretivist paradigm. So critical realism here, it is now a mixture of both. So we say, okay, how do socioeconomic factors influence access to healthcare services in urban areas versus this? So now, that influence is non-numerical, and what are the lived experiences of individuals in these settings? Ask him to move the joke this way. Okay, don't. Okay, so what are the effects of healthcare policy changes on the quality of care provided to marginalized communities, and how do this? So you see, it's clear here. It's just a mixture of what? Positivists and what? So here we can see that in terms of effect here is measurable, and we still have passive perspective, which is what? So yeah, that. So there are many more questions out there also. I'm also going to share these slides with us immediately we're done with this training. And how effective, already this is quantitative perspective here, mixed method, critical theory. What are the differences in health outcome? Difference is numerical, and passive is qualitative, and all that. So here are practice exercises that I've actually kept for you guys. You have to actually answer these questions and send it to me. Yes, I'm going to teach us next on how to develop a research question and rationale. But before I actually answer that, I have to just go through what I've actually told you guys today. Just have a rundown of it. I know when we were at this stage here, we were kind of confused, but now everything is already looking very clear. And first of all, I said by talking about the hierarchy of evidence, I'll talk about research paradigm, major research paradigm, relationship between research paradigm and methodologies, some of the examples. I'll give you guys practice exercises. So here, I explained that we have various designs and research. Some of you here, maybe when you finish your project, any research you did finds a way here. Tell me the topic and I'll tell you where it is. Maybe you did a cross-sectional study, it is this side. Maybe you did you're a doctor here and you did a clinical research, it might be here. Or you did a randomized control trial, it might be here. But what this tries to explain that this is the ladder evidence. As we go up, the more quality of evidence or what your reporting happens to be. While we go down, the more lower the quality of evidence. That's why we call it the hierarchy of evidence. We call it the Pollitt and Beck hierarchy of evidence. Let me illustrate that. This is what I mean. We call it the what? The Pollitt and Beck. That's 2008 hierarchy of evidence. Then I talked about numerous research paradigms, belief systems, worldviews that are research. And now I can see now that everything now is now very clear now, because when I talk about, when I said actually got the magic, right? So it means beliefs. So how do you shape your research question, right? So another assignment I'm going to give to us that is that I want you guys to come up with 10 research questions each on positivism, critical realism, and what? And interpretivism. 10 each. So you're submitting to me in our next meeting by Wednesday, 30 research questions, 10 positivism, 10 interpretivism, and 10. We'll just come up with questions that you can don't, if you like, go and generate it. I'll ask you questions because I need to engage you guys in what you're doing. And I also feel that this research pattern provides the framework for how we now you see that we have now successfully related these research paradigms to what? To methodology. So it means that for positivists, people who like fact, you're quantitative, but people who are interested in maybe subjective theories, belief system, and all that, you're what? You're interested in what? Interpretivism. Whereas if you like a mixed approach, then that's what? Mixed method. So it is what that determines whether we are going to use qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method. It just influences how we address our questions. And I talked about the 3 core ones, which I've already said numerous times: positivism, interpretivism, and critical what? Realism. And then I also talked about positivism. I explained it to a 5-year-old, trying to obtain numbers and all that. Interpretivism, stories, see it as stories, belief systems, and all that. So trying to understand how people see things and feel about things. It's just like hearing bedtime stories from your mom and all that, right? And this is more of a mixture of both. I explained the ontology as how we view reality. So for the positivist ontology is single reality. Objective is something you can hold. Interpretation is something constructed by individuals. The wife is saying that she heard it from somebody, and that is how they used to do it. That is how they used to do it. That is why when you sit people down for interviews, they're explaining how they know it. Right? That's the ontology. And for the knowledge, drawing knowledge for positivism is objective measurement. The approach is quantitative, and this is the survey, experiment, statistical analysis, conceptual designs, and all that. Whereas for interpretivism, we draw knowledge from individuals, subjective manner, how you feel. And this is through what? This is gotten through what? Experiences, right? And qualitative interviews and all that. So I already made this clear. Critical theory is mixed method, and yeah, that's it. So I'm going to drop the slides for us. The next session, we'll be going into research designs and how to write your methodology, informing your methodologies and all that. So those are going to be, our next, session. And remember, I left you guys with an assignment. I'm going to drop this straight up on the group so that we can actually make sure you submit my assignments to me on or before Wednesday. 30 research questions, 10 positivist, 10. I'm going to drop this resource immediately on the group now once I'm done with this session. So I don't know if there are questions. How do you see what is your paradigm? What paradigm do you have? Can you tell me in answer? Is there questions that we want to ask or before I close up? Thank you. Okay, are there questions? Favor, how was it?
Okay, I'll say the class is very very interesting, and the way you explained it was very very commendable, because now I can say I know what the positivism
Yeah,
means. I can
yeah,
say
yeah.
I understand it very well, because it's very, yeah, you really try. Thank you so much.
Exactly, exactly. I'm really, really very impressed, honestly. And we have loads of things to do in the future. I hope you know.
I know.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. So I'm proud of that. Okay, how about Mr. Ziri? How was it?
Yeah, it's really really interesting. You did a very good job. Uh, at the beginning, I was actually lost because I didn't know the meaning of paradigm. Yeah,
Okay.
but along the line, when you were explaining, I was digesting it, so it was very clear now. Yeah, I
That's
appreciate that. Yeah, I'm good.
that's nice. Yeah, welcome so much.
Yeah.
Mr. Abdul, how was it? What can you share?
Yeah, it was okay. Though my network was breaking somehow, but can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you clearly, clearly. I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So yes, the class is interesting to be honest. But I have one simple question. Maybe you've addressed it before, but my network was acting up. So you
Okay.
mentioned that positivity has to do with numbers, right? Something
Yeah,
that objective that okay you can measure, you can see. But what if you get the data like maybe from someone else? Is that the positivism or you classify it as something else? Because obviously you're not the one that actually see the. It's not objective to you. Is that someone else? I don't know. Maybe if I addressed it before, I just.
okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. It just depends on your research question. That's what it depends on. It depends on what your research question is. Like what is the research? It's just the research question that we're after, not really the methods. Although the methods actually play massive role. But if your research question is numerical, and whether you're getting the data from somebody and that is numerical data, then it's clearly positivism, right? So let's say, for example, now, you are doing a retrospective study that you want to go and collect the period prevalence of diabetes, or let's say, for example, diarrhea among children, I want to get a period prevalence. Like, okay, let's say retrospectively now means you're going backwards, right? You want to collect data from 2024 back to 2000 2004. That's 20 years, right? So it's not the usual prospective cross-sectional study where you give people questionnaire, they fill it in, and you do your species analysis. In that situation, it is you're collecting data and it's still numerical data. So that situation is still positivism. That's your paradigm. Just paradigm is your standpoint of of your research. So it means that you're doing a what? You're drawing your ideas from a numerical standpoint. So I hope that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, yes, yes. That's
Yeah.
great.
So
Thank you.
thank you. So remember, I'm going to share these slides every session. After every session, I'm going to share the slide session with you guys. And please, you guys have an assignment to submit to me on Wednesday. 30 research questions, 10 positivist questions, 10 interpretivist questions, and 10 critical realism questions outside of the exercises that I've already attached here. Remember, I take my assignments very, very serious, and I will be hoping to get that. I'm going to send my email. My email address is going to be on the forefront of this particular slide that I'm going to share with you guys. Yeah, that's my email here. I'm attaching that here. Okay. I can always share that on the group chat anyway. That is. What is this thing? Is it this? Yeah, I'm going to share it there. Okay. So, yeah. So I think that is that for tonight. And so thank you guys for your time. Love you guys. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank
thank
you
you
and
very
good
much.
night.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye bye.
I'll share the recording as well for in case you miss.